Welcome back into the Spotlight, everybody. Of course, playoff football teams have just traveled all over the state of Texas, and half of them will be traveling again this week. So how do you find these faraway stadiums each weekend? We've got the guy who's got all the information. You know him as Texas Bob.
It's no secret that Texans love their football. From the Cowboys and Texans on down to six-man, fans in the Lone Star State can't get enough. One fan in particular, Bob McSpadden, or Texas Bob as he's known on the web, took his affection for high school football to another level.
I wanted to learn how to do a website about 11 years ago, and I had TexasBob.com, and I was always adding to it. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I was trying to figure out what is the largest built for high school football stadium in the state of Texas. And I got on the internet and tried to find out. I asked people, nobody seemed to know. Everybody said, well, is it Ratliff, or is it one of these other big stadiums in the area, or this one? But what I found out was it was a stadium in San Antonio, Alamo Stadium, built by the CCC in 1940, holds about 23,000 people. That's the largest built for high school football stadium. And then I started adding stadiums on my webpage, and the traffic was just tremendous. And I had about 180 stadiums, and now I have them all, I think.
So what started as an exercise in intellectual curiosity became something much, much larger.
Got about 1,183 stadiums. I add a private school stadium every once in a while. Of the 1,100 plus, I've got about 750 pictures of stadiums, which was something I added one summer. And I've taken 200 or 300 of them, but most of them have been sent in. Now, I've got the Cowboy Corral in Happy, Texas, and in Trent is the only six-man football stadium with the artificial turf. So you just get a lot of information, and the way I'm able to do that is even today I got emails with little corrections and updates on the stadiums. Every July I try to figure out what can I do to improve. One year I added zip codes, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but times 1,100 it takes a little while. And that way I was able to add a weather forecast onto every stadium site. And then I added, does it have soccer? Does it have a track? Does it have video? That's a very popular thing to add now, is to add video scoreboards. So I add all that information.
Through the years, the new features and more information draws more visitors, which in turn gives better information to those sucked into the content.
Kind of built most of it myself. Some of them were submitted, but what I get more often is that's our old stadium, we don't play there anymore, here's our new one. Or some correction. I got corrections today about some directions I had. Oh, if they go that far, they'll miss the stadium. And sometimes the little towns, you can't really get Google to point right at it. So I'll just say, if you get here, look for the light, because you'll get there. It's close.
Big or small, the stadiums sit side by side on the website, which is how Texas Bob likes it. After all, the measure of a gridiron's importance in Texas doesn't depend on how many seats are in the stands.
If you look at the people that are involved and all the students, not just the team, but the band and the pep squad and the fans and everybody, look at everybody involved. If they didn't have football on Friday nights, you really think they'd be home studying? I don't think so. I think it's a good way to bring a school together and make them more cohesive, because our schools are diverse. They have kids of different economic situations and different diversities, and when they come together behind a common team, whether it's football or basketball or whatever it is, it's something that they all have in common, and it makes the whole school, I think, run better. This year I went to Penelope, Texas, and the interesting thing there was I watched the volleyball game before the football game, and then the volleyball players became the cheerleaders, and then they had no band, so the Abbott school, 60 people sang the school song, and then the Penelope people sang the school song, and then the PA announcer from his Dear Blind Box up there led the entire crowd in the national anthem, and they did very good, so it was really a good time. But even in that small community, if you look at the kids, they look just like the kids here in Houston, Texas. They're all kind of different, maybe a few more Cowboys, but they look like everybody else's kids.
It's an easy way to kill a couple hours or steal a few moments of downtime at work. Just be sure to keep your speakers down if you do. It'll give you away every time. Patty Smith for High School Spotlight.